IEEE-VIT comes under the Bombay section. We are dedicated to conducting events matching the interests of students from various domains. Adding to our accomplishments, IEEE-VIT captured the IEEE Regional Exemplary Student Branch Award for 2020. We have two of our most decorated events, our flagship events IRIS and Voyager, which we are a part of. We also conduct many such great events, which includes competitions, seminars, IEEE Day. All of these are celebrated with great enthusiasm at IEEE-VIT. I would like to quickly brief you about Voyager. Voyager is an expedition to the realm of cutting-edge technology, an amalgamation of competitions, tech talks, workshops, and fun events. Voyager 2022 is all set to have such events. Shark Tank, Voyager, Tech Loop, Tech Talks, Into the Jumbleverse, and workshops. And today we have with us Mr. Avi Dwivedi, the founder of Extended Reality Developers of India, aka XRDI. XRDI is the India's biggest XR community and it's a non-profit organization. Sir has also represented Indian XR ecosystem on international platforms like Global Entrepreneur Week USA 2020, World Leaders Summit 2020 and TIE Global Summit 2020. A highly passionate technology enthusiast with hacking as his top interest, Sir, we extend a very warm welcome. We are extremely pleased to have you for this event, imparting your invaluable knowledge and experience with us. We have all been excitedly waiting for this moment. We are eager to hear it from you. So, without any further delay, I would now request you to take it ahead from here.
Thank you so much, Atharva, for this beautiful introduction. And yeah, of course, thanks for inviting me. It is not
Yes,
the
sir.
first time I'm speaking at IEEE, and I know the kind of work IEEE does and the kind of impact IEEE has on the young brains. And I really enjoy talking to VIT people, IEEE, and I'm really honored that I think this is the second time in Voyager I'm gonna speak. So, and it's going to be very similar to what we do at XRDI. So this is I'm going to sort of going to give you a very brief introduction of what AR, VR, XR is. Of course, if you get any question of whatever the kind you have, you can put it after the slides I present. But yeah, let's go on the journey where we're going to talk about virtual reality in several formats, right? So I'm going to start with sharing my screen. I hope now you have a view on my screen. Now you can sort of see it. Let me know if it's visible. You guys can see my screen now.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. So this is me, Avi Dwivedi, as you guys said. Uh, Thanks for such a great introduction. And I'm really sorry. I was planning for a surprise for you guys, and for some technical issues, it was not possible to be able to do yet. But I'm sure by the evening I'll be able to fix it, and we're gonna do something. So I'll probably present that surprise on our YouTube channel. I'll talk about that in upcoming slides. So welcome to the world of XR. You might have some of you must have heard this term XR for the very first time. What is XR, right? So let me first talk about myself, then I'll talk about XR. So as you know, we have did this events several times, as I said, with IEEE as well, with Google developer groups as well, with the Girl Script community. And there are so many good communities which are sort of trying to educate young brains and trying to give them right kind of direction when it comes to technological needs, trying to sort of provide them a mentorship. So we are like one of them. I'm somebody who's working into the XR industry for past 9 or 10 years. I have worked as a medical imaging scientist for 3 years at an organization called Immersive Touch. where I was basically training doctors with virtual reality. So I was creating those training programs and training modules which can teach doctors how to improve their skills when it comes to do a surgery, right? With XRDI, our mission is to educate India about virtual reality and augmented reality, because, of course, you guys must have heard about Facebook, what journey it went through, and the vision they see. Sort of similar vision we also have in mind, that the future is going to be all about XR, all about metaverses. So this is why we started this, and this community is in 2019. Also have a company which does services that is running since 2015. So that's something about me. Cool. So let's now talk about XR industry. Right. So you might have this AR, VR, MR, XR, CR, all this kind of terms, right? So what are they? AR is augmented reality, VR is virtual reality, MR is mixed reality, CR is cinematic reality, and further on, so many R's are around there. So extended reality, this particular term is the term which acts like an umbrella for all these different R's, right? All these different realities, the XR is going to act like a umbrella term. So by umbrella term, what I mean is, similarly, we have an umbrella term which is AI, artificial intelligence, for a couple of other technologies like deep learning, natural language processing, and several other, right? Computer vision. Okay, so similarly, we have XR for all these terms. So AI and then XR. So let's try to break this down, these terms, so that it solidifies in your brain that what is, whenever somebody gonna talk about this mumbo jumbo jargons about VR, AR, MR, XR, you're never gonna confuse after this particular session, right? So let me ask a simple question. You must have heard of digital. You might, especially after 2020, a lot of you must be doing making use of these two terms, digital and virtual. Does anyone know difference between digital and virtual? Feel free to speak if anybody knows, or feel free to write it in the comments. I would love to see. I have written the difference in the slide, but if somebody wants to add their opinion, they might. Cool. Okay, let me try to jump in. So digital is a communication within binary, of course, within digits. That's why it's called digital. But this communication is unknown to human. It is known, but it cannot be understood by human. Right. It is a communication between your mouse and your computer. It is a communication between, when you send a friend a high text, then what goes under his mobile phone, and how the signal transmitted to other person's mobile phone, and then it translates into something else, which is beyond digital, right? So when we are talking about digital, it's the binary communication which happens between machines, and human has no knowledge about it, no control over it. Has control and has knowledge, but they cannot make meaning of it unless we convert it into a format which is called virtual. Right. What is this virtual? Virtual is again the best friend of digital, but it is the kind of content which is created from the digital, but now can be understood by a human. So it's now called virtual. We call it visually digital is virtual, right? So visually digital means virtual. It's meant to be understood by a human, right? So for another example, the stream you are watching right now is happening in form of digital. The underground layer of it, the bits and bytes, and the very small packets which are being sent through the streams are always digital, and you have to nothing, you perform a certain abstraction to avoid whatever going on with that. It's none of your matters, right? You should not care about that. But what you should care about is virtual, which means the text which is written here in bigger format, a picture here, which is our logo, right? So that's what you care about. You care about virtual. So whatever you can make sense of, it's virtual, and whatever machines can make sense of is digital. I hope this difference, because a lot of people miss sort of interreplace this word virtual with digital all the time. It happens all the time. Cool. So I hope now that definition is very, very much clear and very, very much differentiable. Right. Now we're gonna go into further journey into virtual simulations. Now, of course, you have seen a single picture, right? It's the form is a virtual content. It's the form of in a virtual content. Now you can see this picture, but what if I create entire simulation with some pictures? Right? What does simulation mean? Simulation, let's say if there is something in the reality within the world you live in. I'm going to go into philosophy a little bit if somebody wants to go deeper. So I have a podcast where I talk about much deeper philosophies, where I would restrain myself to touch here. But if you like that kind of conversation, please connect to me. I would love to discuss. So the kind of world we live in is all physical, is all real. But when we try to simulate, when we try to replicate these scenarios which are happening in the real world, then it's called virtual simulation, right? So for example, if it's raining outside and you want to create a virtual painting, virtual means made up of digits, made up of virtual information, right? So and made up of digits and also makes sense to a human, right? So when you create this raining painting, right, it in your computer, it becomes a virtual simulation, right? Now you would say it's not raining, so why don't you animate that, right? So the idea is whenever you are trying to simulate a physical scenario into a virtual format, it's called virtual simulation. Now you got the point, right? Now we're going to come to virtual reality. Virtual reality is again one step further, where you have created the virtual simulation, the virtual scenario, but now what you want to do, you want to surround a human being inside this virtual scenario. So you put inside a human inside all this virtual world. So he's surrounded, he can look into everywhere, he can touch everything, he can interact to things. And that becomes virtual reality. So I'm gonna do a session quickly on virtual reality history as well. So if you're gonna come to our community, we're gonna talk more about philosophy, history, science, and then we're gonna create a lot of stuff. But that's for further, right? So what is augmented reality? This is a very creepy, very different kind of world, right? So augmented reality is in some formats. It's a very it's just opposite of virtual reality. In virtual reality, our objective is to surround a human with this virtual content, and in other words, sending a human inside a virtual content. But in augmented reality, the goal is very opposite. It's bringing out a virtual content from its virtual world to a real world. In other words, overlapping a virtual content on top of reality, right? So you have a reality feed, which usually comes from the camera, but it could come from anything else, right? It usually 90% it comes from camera, but you are not restricted to just camera. There are examples available where people do it in certain other formats as well. I'll guide you in further conversations about that. Right. So usually this reality feed is coming, which we are capturing from camera, and we are trying to overlay on top of a layer, which is of virtual content, right? For example, Pokemon Go. The camera is seeing a virtual place, right? Sorry, a physical real place like your home, and then you see a Pokemon, which is clearly a virtual content, which is a non-objective, non-real content on top of your virtual content. It is happening in all the way. So augmented reality is the most popular format of all this XR, which is happening right now, right? So I'm going to talk about mixed reality. Mixed reality is nothing to confuse about. Mixed reality is augmented reality. It's no further different, right? But the only difference, if you want to pick a difference, that is it uses an HMD. HMD is a head-mounted display, right? Which means you need to wear a certain kind of eyewear which sits on your head, and then you experience, then you are able to experience this augmented reality. right? Instead, in usual augmented reality, we use handheld devices, and here we are using head-mounted devices. So that is the only difference if you really want to pick a difference. Rest, it's completely same. Mixed reality and augmented reality are mostly the same thing. Then there is something, a very amazing kind of science called virtual haptics. Right? So if you have aware of gaming, if you are aware, or if you have ever played games, you know sometimes objects pass through each other, right? You know sometimes you are able to see through the walls. Sometimes you are able to do, especially people who hack. Please don't do that. But the people who hack are doing this all the time, right? They are passing through walls and everything. Why? Because wall does not exist. It's just a piece of code, right? It's not like a real world wall where you cannot pass your hand through or hand gonna break, right? So virtual haptics is a science which is working on making those making those virtual boundary feel like physical boundaries, right? And there are certain ways of doing that. We use a lot of hydraulics sometimes, then we use a lot of mechanical engineering or robotics sometimes to sort of mimic this virtual boundaries in physical space. Of course, you need to use physics if you have to make something feel physically, right? So virtual haptics is a science of making boundaries visible in the physical space, or at least make them feel physical and real. However, the virtual content has no boundaries at all. Uh, then we're gonna talk about what is spatial audio. Spatial audio is like an surrounding sound, AR Rahman audio. So basically, the meaning of it's been there the longest, I guess, and perfected in consumer consumption for the longest when it comes to XR. So when we are talking about spatial audio, the kind of audio we are talking about here is you are literally able to distinguish two things. One, from how far the sound is coming from. Is it coming from too close? Is it coming from too far? And the second is from which direction the sound is coming from. If you can identify these two things, you know you are talking about spatial audio. So if you watch a movie in a cinema theaters, if somebody is speaking from the left, you know the sound is coming from the left. If he's speaking from the front, you know the sound's coming, these kind of things, right? Then location based XR, how we can make use of a geographical location in a certain virtual simulation. That's all about it. Like Pokemon Go, like for example, whenever you are living right now, if there is raining and I can make a game or I can make a simulation where it rains whenever in your geographical location rains. So I have certain access to APIs, weather APIs, where I can see when it's raining and I can also simulate that specific amount of rain, right? So in that case, I'm making use of this location-based XR, right? Cool. So I can do a lot of things using that. Now we're gonna talk about XR market size. So it's predicted. It's a very old report by BBC blogger. So it says in 2018, as you can see, the $21 billion market was there. Now, in 2025, it's going to be almost $400 billion market, and there is also a PwC report which suggests by year 2030 the market is going to be exactly $1.5 trillion, which is like a huge number. Some of the countries does not have that kind of economy, right? So that's huge, the market size is. And of course the CAGR, which is like a very popular term if you are studying finance. CAGR is compound annual growth rate, right? So which is like more than 85%, which is like almost doubling up in every year. So industry which is like growing exponentially, it is a good thing to be in that. So for example, in finance we have a term, whenever you are releasing a product, is it in a increasing market or is a declining market? So it is always beneficial to be in a inclining market, because your numbers also gonna grow up with the market size, which is doubling every year. So whatever I am worth right now, I'm gonna worth almost 80-85% more next year. So that's what it means. And I have seen this kind of growth in my career. I have seen this kind of growth in a lot of colleagues. So whoever was there like since 2012, 2013, whoever, even the people who are getting new are creating like marvelous things. So as I said, the PwC report suggests it's $1.5 trillion economy. If you talk about companies, it's a very blurry picture because I wanted to get a picture from 2022 or something. But if you, I'll provide you a very good picture as well. If you know any company's name who's into tech, right? Any company's name is already investing in some ways in virtual reality and augmented reality. Any company is popular enough that you know that company's name, that you know its product, whether it's Sony, whether it's Huawei, whether it's STC, whether it's Oculus, you don't know, but Facebook, you know, right? Uh, whether it's Google, everybody has creating certain kind of products, whether it's a health and fitness, whether it's a lifestyle, whether it's smart glasses or hardware, all kind of things are being created. Whether, of course, whether they are games, because right now the gaming is 75% of this virtual reality and augmented reality space. It's a booming industry, right? So if you are aware of this company, Geo acquired a company called Tesseract, and Tesseract was founded by Kshitij Marwa. And this company is particularly doing really great when it comes to accessible virtual reality headsets. So they are releasing in this year, in this 2022, they're gonna release their headset, which looks like this, which looks like a very normal glass, and it, according to the leak sources, it's 85 grams only, right? So we also are shipping with this particular headset. So whenever you're gonna get this headset, it's gonna preloaded with our two apps. We have created two apps for this on community efforts. We have created two apps with in collaboration with Geo as well. So amazing stuff. Cool. So no, the good thing about XR is I'm not telling you to change or reinvent yourself to sort of do something in the field of XR. I'm not telling you that. Uh, if you like educating people, there is scope in XR. If you like healthcare, there's scope in XR. If you like journalism, there is scope in XR. If you want to create movies, there's scope in XR. If you in journally, if you are an influencer, there's scope in XR. So no matter whatever your inclination towards career choices are, you can somehow find a niche or create a niche with the help of virtual reality or augmented reality within your area of interest, right? I'm not telling you that, not going to tell everyone here that go and start coding and create an application which runs on virtual reality headsets. That's not my way of doing things. uh, my way of doing things is, even if you like marketing, I'm going to tell you how you can implement XR in your marketing needs. And if you, for example, if you have heard of recent movie Bachchan Pandey's Filter, right? Bachchan Pandey released also an Instagram filter, and a lot of movies are doing that. Right. So on your Instagram, you can wear Bachchan Pandey's turban and necklace, and your eyes become one eye become patthar ka, like Bachchan Pandey, right? So that particular filter was also created by our community. We have, in fact, also did several filters and several things within the community, which is like very popular. It is a part of marketing, and of course, now I'm gonna seed a question in your brain that why with virtual reality and augmented reality, which is XR, why you can do almost everything. And the answer to that is like very intriguing, which is something you should think about. The answer to that is it's not just a technology, it's a medium, right? What is the difference between the technology and the medium, you're gonna ask, right? And why should I care? So a technology is like a mouse, like a gaming a tablet or something, right? But virtual reality headsets are beyond technologies, or virtual reality and augmented reality products are beyond technologies. It becomes a medium. What I mean by that is your televisions are medium, right? What kind of content you consume on your television? The answer is almost everything, right? So you consume religious content, like there are channels like Astha. You consume all the educational, there is Discovery. Then you consume all those reality TV shows and entertainment and dance and all those kind of things. So fitness, there are so many fitness channels as well. There is news. uh, so it's like whatever the kind of person you are, you can get a content on that particular medium. Your YouTube is a medium, right? On YouTube you have all kind of channels. Then your mobile phone is a medium. On your mobile phone you consume all kind of technologies. So similarly it's going to be the next medium. So it does not has any restriction to one kind of likeliness or one kind of orientation or one kind of person. Only I'm very super technical, only then I can use virtual reality to help myself within my profession or within my business. It's nothing like that. Everybody is using. I have seen people dance in virtual reality, and my god, what they create. So here is a very here is an example which is like very close to my heart. So impossible becomes possible with virtual reality and augmented reality. A very good example of that. So it's happened in Seoul, Korea. So the company which did that is a friend of mine. So what they did, she's a very rich woman, and she wanted her child, which is like deceased, to meet her back once more and celebrate maybe a birthday of her, right? And touch her. So she's wearing a haptic glove, so that, which I talk about, uh, can physically touch her and spend a birthday with her once more, right? It is of course not real, but it is much more than a photograph. Imagine uh, what kind of impact if she had with this kind of scenario, right? So she got one more chance to sort of revisit her memories in 2016, right? So that kind of impossibilities became possible. As I said, everything is possible. So with virtual reality we have did several public sessions as well. This is one of them. This is our set in virtual reality, which we have built where to do some podcasts. I have did plenty of podcasts on this set. So in this set there are multiple things as you can go and visit. And he is my friend Love from Canada, and I was in Kolkata at that time, and Love was in Canada. Still we are sharing the same space. Like we are friends from childhood, and we are sharing the same space, and reuniting again with a friend who's like living so far, thousands of kilometers far. So it feels like you are in the same room, and this is unimaginable for people, right? We can do stuff, we can play with things, we can do so many things. And at the end of this, my friend is a Captain America fan, and I'm an Iron Man fan. So I gave him the suit of Captain America, and here it is. And he wore the Captain America suit, a similar kind, right? And I wore here is a selfie. So I wore the Iron Man suit, and we did take selfies, and we did also fight. It's amazing, right? So we did this podcast, and I also, by the way, I did India's first virtual reality podcast, which I did in 2019 with my friend Laura Hall. She's known as the VR girl, right? So we did a very cool podcast. This is a game on Corona I created in virtual reality. So here you fight coronavirus literally within the realm of virtual reality. Of course, the game is inspired by Beat Saber. Like in Beat Saber, you beat the boxes. Here you are beating the corona with your boxing gloves, right? And a very catchy music which was created by my brother, right? And listen. So this game was created, I think, in 7 or 8 hours. Uh, so not even a full day. It was created in a 7 or 8 hours. and as you can see, it's Kam Chalo, right? It was not created for any. It's not a full product, right? It was created for sending a message that we need to fight Corona at that time, right? Uh, so I also created this particular application. I'm not sure if you wanna uh, have the audio there or not, but it tells you how the COVID started. It also shows you the entire in the entire world what is the sort of leaderboard, I would say. It's a wrong word, but what kind of numbers are going in the entire world. Like USA was at that time the top in terms of COVID. India was at third, Brazil was second, then Russia and everything, right? So it gives you the entire perspective on COVID. It tells you how serious the disease is, and it shows you then after world it moves to India, and it shows you a certain states. You can peek into all those statistics from all those states, how many people recovered, how many unfortunate deaths are there, uh, according to the nation wise, what percentage. So Maharashtra had at that time the reddest country. So red is like very severely infected with COVID, right? So 24% of the India's COVID was in Maharashtra. It's suggesting, app is suggesting that, right? And then you can also on the same platform can get news, right? So this is the recent COVID news which you can scroll through, right? And then this application also educates you about COVID. So from the very valid sources, from I took references from WHO and from the world's best creators and educators. I got the licenses. So it educates them about virtual reality and augmented reality, and then uh, uh, not that actually it teaches you about COVID, that how to prevent yourself, and try to also fight fake news about COVID and how severe the problem is. People should know that. So that's why we created this particular application, I would say, right? So, and this is one of the application which is coming on Geo Glass. So you will be able to see this application on Geo Glass. This is also available for Androids and everything. So it was freely available, as I said. So, and I hope you. So this was on the first birthday of XRDI, 1 year completion of XRDI. So what we did is basically you tap on the screen and the cake is lit now. And then when you blow the candles, you got a virtual reality headset. So this kind of Instagram filters were created, and similar kind of a lot of filters were created by us. If you guys, some of the guys want to try how virtual reality and augmented reality looks like, they can scan this code and then see this picture and tell me that what happens, right? So for you, this is an exercise. You can scan this code, or you can also go to this link if you don't have a QR code scanner, right? But you can scan this code and then look at this picture and tell me that what happens to your phone. I'm just gonna wait for like a minute or so that you can do so, right? I'm also gonna do the same thing. Gonna scan and then look at the screen. I hope this works. And it's an open source. It's hosted on my public GitHub so that you can also experience that, right? So you can also anytime check out the code as well, that how this is working and everything, right? It's called WebXR. WebXR means XR which can be executed on web, which means you don't need to download any application, right, whatsoever. Because applications, when you download something, it's added at one step. It is like not that quick. If I cannot tell anyone on a live stream that okay, this is my virtual reality or augmented reality filter, can you check this? I can tell with WebXR, okay, you can check it right now. So have you guys checked it? How is it? Any comments? I think you guys are muted for some reason. We will do a Q&A after completing slides, which we are about to. Okay, there are various ways we are commuting or contributing to the society. For example, a lot of things are not written here. Have you guys seen the metaverse jhaki this year, 26 January pe? So we also contributed with Niti Aayog to sort of make that happen, that 26 January ka jhaki and everything. So we are in the Niti Aayog's advisory team for XR. We have represented Indian XR ecosystem at various international platforms like AWE, like GW, Global Entrepreneur Week, like World Leader Summit, so many things like that, right? So we are trying to sort of highlight people from India who are creating amazing stuff, and we are also helping people create amazing stuff. I also have created India's first virtual reality job portal, where you can sort of find jobs for AR and VR, right? So there are no specific place to connect to the community. For like a student, if you want to, even if you get excited about virtual reality and augmented reality, how you gonna go and ask a job? To whom you gonna go and ask the job? Do you know all the companies who are working in India about virtual reality and augmented reality? The answer is average student does not know about it. That even one company is working. Of course, they know about Facebook is creating VR products, but the chances of getting into Facebook is like very slick. How an average student gonna get into Facebook, right? It's a very I would say for of course a few of you it's like very easy, or maybe it's very competitive, right? But for most of them, they need to survive, right? They need to find the right kind of jobs. They need to find the right kind of way to, or especially what they like. They want they would like to do something what they look like. A lot of people who are sort of preparing for Facebook, they don't even know what they're gonna do after they land up in the Facebook. They have no idea about what the kind of work they want to do, right? Of course you have a certain idea, okay, I'll be working on the maybe this kind of product, but mostly you are studying competitive coding, which means you have no idea what you're going to land up into, right? uh, Maybe Facebook gonna tell you that, okay, work on this analytic department, and you have no idea about what is analytic, but it is like really really people don't think I think the best way to sort of get into what you want to achieve is basically have a very clear understanding of what you want to achieve, right? uh, Creating a very certain picture that what you want to achieve at the end of the day. uh, what is your certain goals, what is your life's goal, then what is your milestones. Planning it and picturing it is a very important part, which in most of the cases is not possible. In most of the systems it's not possible. In within a system you're working on a very small part of system which you are not even aware of that what you're going to do. uh, I'm also speaking to Facebook. They are going to list a lot of jobs on our platform as well. uh, uh, I think on this Thursday I had a call with Anjali from Facebook, and there were two more people. One, I think, Andrew and Joshua. We had conversation about establishing. Of course, they have established an office, and there are a lot of things are going on, which you will see in Indian companies as well. Geo and Ajna Lens, which are like great companies creating great products. Ajna Lens is creating products for Indian military, but you are not aware about, because no media is going to talk about it, because that's not going to give them right kind of attention. So that's what we are doing, XR awareness, making people understand what kind of the leaders are doing, like people who create the technology, people who create the science these people are leading the India, not the Bollywood actors or people who are already getting attention. So that's why I also do a lot of podcasts with industry people to sort of share their perspective, their thought process, so that you can learn more. I'll show you all these resources, right? So where do I start? Uh, so a lot of people ask this question, so that's why I've added in the slide as well. Where you gonna start, right? So whatever your interest is, whether it's art, design, storytelling, optimization, if you're good with code, of course, gameplay programming, graphic programmer. Graphic is like very hard thing and nobody talks about. Graphic is like a poetry of programming, right? Uh, I have been a graphic programmer for like 2-3 years at Immersive Touch, and it's literally you have not seen the real art of programming if you have not programmed a graphic program. If you have not coded a ray tracer, you don't know how beautiful programming could be. Of course, analytics is also similar, but analytics is like boring, and it does not show the real beauty of code. So once you create something and you see the visual happening in front of your eyes, learn about computer graphics. Let me know after this conversation. We're gonna go for Q&A. So let me know what your thought process on computer graphics, and I'm gonna talk to you in depth about that as well. Right. So journalism, if you are interested with that, dance, social media, influencership, photo. So there is of course, you create a 2D photo. A lot of people are after 3 Idiots. A lot of people became interested in a photographer as a career, right? So, of course, you have seen people creating pictures in 2D, right? But now there is a interesting science coming up where people are creating pictures in 3D, right? If you have a certain object, and there is a very good monetary value as well. I'm telling you, very good monetary value. So if you, let's say, create a picture in 3D, in 3D, so there are certain ways of doing that, and there is entire science of doing that. It's called slam technology, and we use in a lot of photogrammetry things. So I also teach about photogrammetry. It's a very technical thing, but it's you learn about how 3D scanners work and how photogrammetry works, and how lidar sensor works. That's what I teach about when we talk about photogrammetry. So yeah, whatever your interest is, uh, you need to search that how you can inline your interest with virtual reality, augmented reality, because that's going to give you an extra mile and extra boost, early mover advantage in that particular format, because eventually everything's gonna be within virtual reality, and that's for sure. And that's why Meta is sort of jumping inside virtual reality and augmented reality. So if you, for example, search for these four beautiful letters X, R, D, and I, you're gonna find a YouTube channel where you're gonna find a lot of information, a lot of good people from the industry. For example, you might know Raji. Raji India has created a very good computer game called Raji, right? If you know about if you want to know about the story behind Raji, the founder Avichal has shared this podcast with me. He told us that how one of the founders had to sell their house to build this game. Imagine, from a student's perspective, it is hard to imagine, but uh, you're creating a game, and on that you are taking that kind of risk that you can sell your house to put all the money in your game and put all the passion. And it's not creating a game. You people don't know how much effort it takes to create a game. Thousands of times more than creating an application, and I have doing that since 2013. So I literally salute to the people, and I have hosted a lot of people who are from the game industry. For example, Rishi Oberoi, also I'll talk about him as well. So Avichal created this particular game called Raji, got a lot of international success, got a lot of it is like a game from India which we can salute to. Nikhil Malankar is building. Nikhil Malankar is a very good friend, as if you guys know. He is building Mumbai Gullies. A lot of good people creating amazing stuff. So Nikhil and I also hosted a COVID fundraiser. Nikhil, I, and Vaibhav hosted COVID fundraiser, and we did a lot of things together. Uh, uh, Nikhil is also helping me build for merchandise for XRDI. Whenever that's gonna come up, I'll gonna show you. Rishi Oberoi, I was talking about. This particular man is into gaming. He has this particular company called Tedpole right now. But Rishi is coding games when there was no mobile who could run particular game. He used to create and code games at that time. He is a very awesome graphic programmer and hardware graphic programmer, which means he used to optimize for certain. He used to code mobile games since 2002. He started his job in 2000 2002, and from India's first gaming company called India Games, and I also hosted one of the founders of India Games as well, Nina. So I have hosted amazing episodes in XR podcast series, which you can sort of, if you are interested, if you want to align yourself with the this particular industry, you can. This is where you need to look for. If you want to see other mentors who come to our platform and share their opinions about writing shaders, about managing a business, about starting with JavaScript, which has nothing to do with XR itself, but I focus them because this is like very important. A person within who's like, if you are in getting into XR, you are mostly self-dependent person. If you're not, I would not recommend you to do so, right? So uh, for them, it they need to know everything. So for that reason, I invite all kind of mentors to the community to share their views about it. Then we have this masterclass program, which is like freely available for everyone on our YouTube channel. It's a playlist. It's take you 7 days to complete it, but it's gonna guide you everything about creating a virtual reality game, basics about how you get started with a virtual reality game, how you get started with a augmented reality game, and how you make basic Instagram filters, right? Then we also do XR news and everything, right? All kind of content is there. So how you gonna find it? Basically, go on YouTube and write this four magical words XRDI. Now I have taken a lot of time. Now let's go for straight forward to Q&A, right? So any questions? I'm willing to answer. And I would recommend if you unmute this for all the people. There are 55 people who are still listening, and I'm trying to speak from my heart and not try to sort of convert you into a virtual reality developer from a web developer or something, right? I'm not trying to do that, but still there are so many people who are interestingly listening. Thank you from all my heart to them, right? And yeah, any questions, willing to answer. So if you can unmute all the people or give access to people who, oh, somebody also shared what they saw. So if you look into the chats, somebody shared what they saw in that particular QR code, right? Very cool. So yeah, please share your questions. I cannot see questions, so if you can host ask the question, or these people directly can ask the question, that is more important.
Thank you, sir. Your presentation was very wonderful. Now I would request, yes, sir. Now I would request our audience, if anyone has any questions, please post them in the chat boxes.
Don't treat me as a mentor, treat me as a friend, right? So whatever the kind of friend, अगर तुमसे तुम्हारा कोई दोस्त आके ये बोलता, I'm gonna speak in हिंदी. So अगर तुमसे तुम्हारा कोई दोस्त ही आके बोलता कि भाई वर्चुअल रियलिटी में बहुत स्कोप है, एक बार ट्राई कर, तो तुम उससे क्या सवाल या जवाब करते, या उससे क्या बहस करते? मुझे वो बहस जाननी है, ठीक है? मुझे ये नहीं जानना कि तुम अपने टीचर्स और मेंटर्स को क्या जाके बोलते हो, अच्छा हाँ सर ज़रूर ट्राई करेंगे, वो नहीं सुनना है मुझे. मुझे सुनना है कि तुम क्या काउंटर आर्ग्यूमेंट प्रेजेंट करोगे इसके अगेंस्ट में. आई एम मोर इंटरेस्टेड टू लिसनिंग टू दैट, राइट? दैट्स व्हाट आई एम इंटरेस्टेड इन, द रियल टॉक करेंगे, ठीक है? Cool. VIT people, show me what you got.
So there are some questions. So the first question is XR technology limited to the entertainment industry like gaming, or so only, or there's more to do it?
There is much more, right? I'm going to share my screen again, right? Because that is necessary. This is a very important question, and I'm surprised that this question come, because I answered this in several ways, right? So for example, I have a friend called Gayatri Parmeshwaran, right? So I'm going to search for her. Sorry, Yeah. So Gayatri did that particular podcast with me. So what she created is called Home After War. She's a director, by the way, and not just any kind of director. She is a journalist as a director. So, for example, you have heard of Vivek Agnihotri. Everybody heard of Vivek Agnihotri now, right? Because he has created Kashmir Files, and it's a creative journalism, I would say. Similarly, Gayatri Parmeshwaran also did creative journalism, and she covered war in Syria, right? So Syria and Iraq, and so she created a documentary called Home After War. The condition of homes people have left after that war, and she filmed that into 3D and represented this documentary. Okay. Then I have a very honorable friend, Shafi Ahmad, and a mentor also. Shafi Ahmad is a leading surgeon in UK. For Vodafone, he is the brand ambassador of Vodafone in UK healthcare, right? So this particular guy is such a genius. He is truly the kind of a doctor who has adopted technology into virtual reality in no other possible way. I mean, he is more into the technology in such a way, within XR technology in such a way, that Shafi Ahmad performed in 2015. He performed a surgery, which is a open heart surgery on Google Lens, right? And then he did a lot of this headset which he's wearing in this one is called Magic Leap. He has a lot of TED talks. You can follow him. He's like one of world's biggest surgeon, right? And I have hosted him. Luckily, I was honored to host him as well on our podcast. So he is like, he is my inspiration, because I have also been into healthcare. I have created something amazing. Let me show you what I created. So I was working in this company called Immersive Touch, and let me show you what Immersive Touch does. So it's a 3-year-old video, very old video. Uh, I'm sure today's work is like more amazing. So we used to use this particular devices. These are called haptic. I was telling about haptic, right? It this with this particular device, it's like a doctor's tool from which he can differentiate between a tissue, a nerve, a blood. He can feel the viscosity of certain kind of fluids in the body and everything. So we create a virtual patient in front of doctor, and this with these technologies, they can perform all kind of surgeries, they can do all kind of examination, they can learn about anatomies, they can do all kind of procedures, right? So this is the older machine, and it does not this video does not unfortunately talk about the newer work where I worked on. This older machine was like for 12-13 years. This is the product which I worked on mostly, right? Let me show you in a brief, right? So in this, you load a patient like this, and now you can focus on what part of anatomy you want to focus. You can dive yourself inside that anatomy. You can dissect that anatomy in several ways. You can do all kind of measurements. You can do all kind of dissection. You have all kind of tools which you use in actual surgery. So this was the product I was working in research, right? So these are two, right? Now I have a friend who has invented a machine which is literally like virtual teleportation, right? uh, that guy's name is let me find it. So portal. Okay, it is hard. David Nussbaum is his name actually. Cool. So this is my friend David Nussbaum, and I also did a podcast with him as well. So within this box, it feels like somebody's actually inside there, but they are not. It is this man has raised more than I think 80 billions, 80 sorry million, very recently, and his technology feels like somebody's already there when they are actually in thousands of miles apart, right? So this guy created this. So a lot of people are creating a lot of I also did a podcast with him. You can find David Nussbaum podcast here. this one, right? So a lot of, and there are such amazing people who have done so good things, which has nothing to do with just entertainment or something, right? Which are like, for example, this boy, he's also from IIT Bombay. So he is working on Cure AI, and Cure AI is doing a lot of similar work with what we used to do at Immersive, right? So in such a way, people are creating such good things. And as I said, India's first virtual reality live podcast, so which was this, right? Um, we did a lot of enjoyment. We visited a lot of places. We did dancing. We did a lot of things. Cool. So now let me come to without further wasting time to answer that. So it's not limited to any industry. In a lot of industries are used. It's used in infrastructure. It's used in military. It's used in healthcare. It's used in journalism, and so on. And wherever it's not used right now, it will be using in certain upcoming time. So it has no limitation at all. Shruti has asked any important tips for beginner who want to switch to AR domain. Important tips is the biggest important tip is check out XRDI. Try to understand it, try to follow basically my 7-day series, and also, if possible, try to become a part of XRDI. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna create XR clubs in all the colleges. So I would love to host people from this community as well. I want people from this community to volunteer and say, okay, I want to learn XR, I want to learn AR and VR. We want to create an club in our college. Right? I want that. So connect to me and we'll do that. Cool. What language we need to, and here is the answer. uh, there are popular languages, but there are indefinite ways of doing this, right? Indefinite and immeasurable amount of ways of creating these things. Languages, after a certain point of excellence in computer coding, right, you're gonna realize that all languages are telling the same thing. The languages does not matter as much as the concept behind them, the certain algorithm you need to understand, and why we do what we do. We need to understand. Languages are a very small part. However, the languages we use are majorly C sharp and C++. Majorly used, right? Sometimes some engines also use JavaScript. Okay, cool. Mostly WebXR uses JavaScript, right? So there are three these major languages which you can focus on. But rather than focusing on the language, focus on the platforms which provide that language to sort of do certain things, because that is more important than the sheer language. Language is like, there are literally videos available which can teach you in 4 hour complete JavaScript. By complete, I mean 80% of what you use in every context, right? That remaining 20% is literally you need to, every developer, even I, having 10 plus years of experience, have to search sometimes. Okay, how to implement leaderboard in Oculus? I need to search that. Okay, and there's no shame in searching for code. Every company gives you internet to look for solution on the internet, right? It is totally valid, it is totally allowed, it is totally necessary to do that, right? Because if you don't know how to implement leaderboard, and the documents are not allowing you enough amount of knowledge, you have to look for, right? Save time, it's more important than saving self-esteem. So I would say search for code and search rightly, and be more efficient in searching for code as well. So more than language, it is more important that which platform you are working on. uh, and this tip is going to help you in the future. What are the challenges faced by XR technology? The biggest challenge right now, I would say, is accessibility. For example, even like somebody did in this chat, they shared this web image which they saw on my, which means it could be visited on a mobile phone, right? I can see this person is using an iPhone because of this bar, right? So they can certainly see not an iPhone, because they have these things as well, which does not appear in iPhone. But Yeah, I can see that even on Android. So this is clearly an Android, and they can see this particular experience, which means this is accessible here. But in a lot of cases, a lot of people does not have the right kind of phone to visit the content. A lot of I'm sure for a lot of you, this link also have not worked, but for some of you, this link has worked, right? So this is the biggest challenge right now in XR. So giving access to everyone so that they can perform what they want to perform. The right kind of hardware limitation, the right kind of knowledge limitation, right? So that's we are also trying to solve. We are coming with a training program which also provides you a virtual reality headset so that it sort of clears your path in learning. It's gonna broke that entry barrier for you, right? So that's what we do. Okay, cool. Next question is, sir, XR is going to limited to niche market. As I answered this question, I hope you got the answer of this question. It is not limited to any niche market, but you, if you have to build a product, you have to create or find your own niche to sort of implement that product. What do I mean? Let's say if you are creating, there are thousands of educational virtual reality or augmented reality products are there in the market, but one of my friend has created a very good niche. He has not focused on the students, he has focused on the teachers. So he has created a product very recently. He also, I congratulated him because he also got a funding for his product. So cool. So his product is called Tutar, Tutar, right? And this product is niche because he is using a different part for teaching. He is using a different kind of market, which is a teachers market. He's making it easier for teachers to explain the students that what are the challenges. Like if you want to talk about an elephant, he can bring an elephant in the room, right? So that technology Tutar is working on. Thanks, Sakshi, for asking this. Next is, sir, virtual reality is good if you don't want to meet somebody physically. If you don't want to go anywhere, but will it be exact experience face to face? Why would anybody meet virtual platform? Awesome. Very good question, Sejal. Your question hurt me. Okay, just kidding. Right. So, very good question, Sejal. Of course, meeting someone in person is a very good experience. Meeting someone face to face is a very good experience, but it is expensive experience. What do I mean by that? If you, I want to do a meeting like David Nesbaum, as I said, he live in California. I did a meeting with Shafi Ahmad. He live in London. Then I did a meet with another friend, Laura Hall. She lives in Miami. If I had to do these podcasts on a physical face-to-face basis, it's gonna cost me a lot and never gonna recover the podcast cost in my lifetime from my YouTube revenue or anything, right? So, of course, this virtual teleportation thing, which my friend David Nesbaum has created, or which is the very crux of virtual reality, right? Meeting people in certain platform, or even sharing a co-space where you are not in a co-space, especially in COVID, when people were like living in constraints in their certain houses. People were collaborating with each other with technologies like VTime, with technologies like ArtSpace VR, like with technologies like Spatial, with technologies like now very recently come Google Workspace. I was also talking to Facebook Workspace. I was also talking to Workspace team on the Thursday, so it was like very good conversation. Amazing things they are doing. So of course, it meeting someone face to face is uh, awesome, but if you can't do that, virtual reality is a good thing. And also, is meeting someone face to face is expensive. It takes a lot of time, right? You have to travel and do this and do that and spend a lot, right? But here you can do achieve all those things without expending much. It saves times, it saves money, it saves formalities, I would say, right? A lot of things. Cool. Why Google Glasses discontinued? A very good question, Riddhi. So the reason Google Glasses was discontinued is a very small problem, a very small thing which they didn't notice, is that Google Glasses was mostly uh, a web a camera, right? It's a camera which is sitting on your face, right? And the thing they missed actually technically is they forget to put a light on that camera. So for example, now you have seen whenever I in iPhone it happens. So whenever your camera, it happens very recently, but whenever your camera is in use, it gives you a very small green light, right? On the screen that your camera is in use. Similarly, on my laptop as well, whenever my camera is in use and recording, or even active, it shows you a white light in my phone. Now every camera which you're gonna see coming up is gonna come up with certain kind of indication that camera is active now. So perform wisely in front of camera. Now the problem with Google Glass was that there was no indication if the camera is on or not. So this camera is rapidly getting banned from the meetings, getting banned from the clubs, getting banned from the public spaces, because you are recording somebody without their permission, or even if you're not recording, the samne wala person does not know, right? When you are recording and when you're not, and this is harmful. So because of this blunder mistake, Google lost on Google Glasses. So they were very useful in healthcare industry. As I said, my friend Shafi ji has did this particular surgery with Google Glasses, and it made a world record as well, because that particular surgery was visited or streamed to 70,000 doctors. 70,000 surgeons learned from this surgery that how to perform an open heart surgery, which was recorded on a Google Glass. Why on Google Glass? It was very light. For a surgeon, it is hard to hold a camera or head mounted something gear which record like a motorcycle people, motorcycle bike bloggers use that. Doctors cannot use that. They are already in so much pressure, uh, so much things could go wrong in a surgery. So it was a very light, almost negligible piece or device which was sitting, and that's why it was very good for healthcare. And yeah, so I hope that answers your question, sir. Going forward in the field of gaming, Cave became next big thing. Cool. You are awesome for mentioning Cave. So thanks for mentioning. Cave is becoming a good thing. So yes, it is, and even IIT Madras, a very good friend of mine now, and one of mentors as well. Uh, Professor Mani has started this program in IIT Madras called CAVE, where they are basically providing help to startups to get the right kind of projects, providing help to governments to get the basically what the kind of community we have. IIT Madras has also doing certain facilitation and incubation to certain virtual reality and augmented reality, which she Malhar is talking about where, right? Sanjana has asked, sir, what kind of barriers might come in the way of expanding into XR market? A lot, actually. And for every kind of product, for example, within XR, it could be anything, right? Uh, of course, you have a XR product. Is it helping students to learn better? Is it helping businessmen to understand their analytics better? It is helping marketers to promote their product better. What product is your XR gonna do, right? Based on that, I could tell you the market competition or something, right? So within XR, it is good. It is early, in fact, if you are releasing an XR product. So people who are releasing XR products, I have started building XR products now, and there are many, 3,000 plus companies in India are working on XR products. So if you are releasing XR products now, it is good for you. You are getting an early mover advantage. You are getting your positioning better, right? So, but of course, how market expansion is not tough. Uh, of course, there is one problem. If you are building B2B things, it is easy to scale in XR. If you are building B2C things, consumer products, as I said, there are certain challenges like accessibility challenge. How if I build for example, you saw the Corona game, right? If I make that Corona game paid and release it for Indian audience, how many people gonna play that? How many people have virtual reality headsets? And the answer is really less. So that's why I'm not doing that, right? So that's why I'm not building a B2C products. I hope that answers your question, right? Because the accessibility is low, a lot of things are low. Shazia has asked, would you guide me on how a game developer I could get into a field? Uh, Shazia, easy answer, go on XRDI. Hard answer, work with us, right? Whatever you want to take. Uh, what is the best way to someone totally new to this field to get experienced? Uh, any sir, we have a training program, but we also have an internship and volunteer program. So Surya, Ishak Surya, whatever field you compelling, you can prefer that. And also there are plenty other good creators as well, which are coming on my podcast. So keep look for XR creators, and you'll find Dinesh Puni, who has been a very good friend. You'll find very good people who like Ritesh Kanji and like Dilmer Vesuvius. These people are creating very amazing content, and sometimes I also create a good content. Cool. Sir, why would one choose to meet someone in VR instead of normal video call? I think I answered that, right? Saves time, saves money. Cool. Any other question? Awesome. I think it went like really good. Thank you, VIT people, for such amazing questions. I think whenever you're gonna put that stream, na, I'm literally gonna be waiting for this because you guys answer really good question. I really appreciate you guys.
Uh, so now I would like to call upon our Vice Chairperson, Ms. Shitija, to deliver the vote of thanks.
I hope I'm audible and visible as well.
Yes.
Thank you, sir, for the confirmation. So, a very good afternoon, first of all, to everyone present over here. I deem it a great honor and privilege to propose the vote of thanks on this memorable occasion. Thank you so much, sir, for taking out time from your busy schedule to enlighten us with your words of wisdom. I'm sure all the attendees over here enjoyed exploring the world of XR with you. I, on behalf of our committee, IEEE-VIT, thank the entire audience for attending the webinar and asking such amazing questions. And I hope that you all have benefited from this experience. An event like this cannot happen overnight. The wheels started rolling months ago. We are fortunate enough to have dedicated student volunteers that work tirelessly so that IEEE-VIT can bring in more such events like this. Lastly, I would like to request the audience to please fill up the feedback forms so that we can dispatch your certificate soon, and we would be happy to hear any suggestions that come in. With this, thank you everyone for taking the time to attend our event and have a great day ahead.
I have a certain thing to say. First, VIT and IEEE, you guys are awesome. You guys are creating such beautiful events and helping create mentors like us reaching this cute kind of audience, which is sharing so much which wants this kind of knowledge, which you want to share, right? So I also have a feedback form, guys. If it would be like really helpful way for me if you take your time to fill it, right? It help us improve our content delivery. It help us improve understand you, right? So please, I'm dropping the link in the chat, right? So please also take time to fill this feedback form. And awesome, you guys are rocking.
Thank you, sir. On behalf of IEEE-VIT, we were extremely pleasured to have you over here. Thank you for such an amazing session.
Thank you, Shita. And thank you everyone who organized this. Atarv, Dhruv, you guys are awesome. You guys are on really good path. Cool. So help distribute the form. The link has shared, right, in the comment in the chat section. So Dhruv, Athar, I hope
Yes,
you guys get the form filled. Thank you.
yes, yes, sure.
Bye bye, guys. And yeah, look for XRDI as well. and
Yes.
I'm sure you're gonna find good kind of content there. Cool. Bye bye.